So I've learned a lot about using Instagram over the years as a film composer, and I really believe that without it, I wouldn't have gotten all the opportunities that I've had. I've composed for short films, podcasts, and feature films from 2021 all the way to today, 2024, because I messaged people on Instagram. And I see so many composers who are super talented, super hardworking, but they don't know how to use Instagram effectively, and I really believe that they're missing out on opportunities. The good news is that it's easier than ever to contact filmmakers and find them online, but the bad news is that it can be very exhausting, especially on Instagram, where you have to post and try a lot of things to figure out what works, and also just like the pressure of needing to go viral and be successful in terms of metrics. So why am I making this video? I have met a lot of composers who sought me out for help, or I tried to give some advice, and the one thing that keeps coming up over and over again is using social media to showcase your skills and your personality and make it easier for people to connect with you. I think a lot of us overthink this, and there's some basic things I want to cover this video. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly mention that I have a course called the Gig Hunting Kit, which covers all the basics of finding a filmmaker to contact and reaching out to them on Instagram. I've talked about this on my channel a couple of times already, but I do think that if you need the support and you're struggling to apply the things that I share for free, this could be a really good option for you, but more on that later. Let's dive right into the tips. Tip number 1, fix your profile picture. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. So this is really common for composers who are trying to frame themselves as either a music studio, agency, or if they do, orchestral, fantasy, epic music, and they have a really cool logo that they want to brand their content with. That's totally fine. But I do think if you're trying to break into film, that it's really important that people see your face. Number 1 is just because they're going to be the ones working with you, and if they can't even see what you look like, it's oh, the stranger just contacted me and they're asking me for something, and it just feels really transactional. So this is super basic, but having a profile picture where you can see your face clearly is 1, of course, professional, and then number 2, it makes it so much easier to actually connect and associate a person with the music, because the problem with having a logo is that it sucks all the personality out of all your content, and number 2, it feels super corporate, and I honestly have done this way in the beginning of my journey. I thought that having a logo would make me appear more professional, but really I was just terrified of putting my face out there online. And of course, it takes time to build up that confidence, but just like practicing an instrument or learning a new skill to improve your compositions, being on camera is one of those things where you're gonna suck for a while and you're gonna hate the way you look, hate the way you sound, but once you get over it and just do it, it just gets easier. The main thing I want you to take away from this, other than the fact that you should probably change your profile picture, is to start seeing your Instagram as a part of your business rather than just a place to scroll, catch up with friends and family, and send memes to your bestie. Yeah, there's a place for that in social media, but if you're trying to get work, you need a profile picture that says, hey, I'm a nice person, I do music, and you can trust me. So change your profile picture. Don't hide behind a logo. Next tip. So a lot of composers overcomplicate the bio, but I do think simpler is better. Some of the composers that I look up to have really straightforward, clean bios, and I'll list a couple here, but what they all have in common is, a simple introduction to who they are and what they do. So they're film composers, they're TV composers, maybe even a game composer. So don't feel pressure to perfect your bio right now. It's something that can grow and evolve with you. If you could just take whatever you feel resonates with you and matches your goals, then that's all you need. So you could simply follow this format. film composer or TV game composer, whatever. And then the next line, you could put where you're located or, what kind of projects that you do. So for Juan Dusan, he puts something like film, TV, ads or something like that. And then at the bottom, of course, you're going to have the link to your website. So most people will have a call to action. You could put something like contact me about your project below, and then there'll be like a little arrow emoji and then the link to your website. So if I was just starting out, I would do something like that. Okay, tip number 3. Okay, don't feel too bad if I call you out here, but I do think a lot of guys, and yes, I mean guys, like 90% of my channel is guys. We need to stop with the photos of our pets and our studios with our morning cup of coffee and the scores that we're studying. Like, I know that it's like really easy to do, and we do our best to make it presentable for social media. But I think with a little bit of effort, you can actually create content that is going to brand you as like a really professional composer, or at least someone who is capable of doing the job and has a good personality. Like, at the end of the day, the content is meant to build trust with your potential filmmakers and also just like show people that you're a likable person. Like, if you don't believe that you're a likable person, like, we can talk about this another time, but I totally get it. Like, it sometimes feels like, little old me, like, what do I have to share with the world? Like, who cares? No one cares about me. But I want to challenge that and say there is something that you've gone through that is actually going to be really valuable for at least one other person. And you don't even have to be this like, prodigy musician, amazing composer to share that and build trust with people around it. So for me personally, I felt like for the longest time, my background as a scientist was something that held me back. I always looked at composers who went to music school and got all these like awesome opportunities through going to a university as something that I didn't have. And I actually found that once I started to talk about it and showcase that, like, hey, this is my reality and my path doesn't look like other people's, it actually helped me connect with my filmmakers way more than when I was trying to pretend to be like this super put together person. So I don't know if this like makes any sense at all, but what I'm trying to say is that you have something worth sharing, and I think you should give yourself the time to figure out what that is. So I did a bunch of calls today with some composers who asked me some really good questions about, starting the whole content thing. I see it in terms of 3 stages. Stage 1 is the experimentation phase. So you're trying things out. You don't know what works for you yet. I gave the advice to, start with 10 posts, and then after you get to 10, look back on what you did and see which one worked. So the reason why you need to get to 10 is because if you just post one thing and then like try and make decisions based on that one data point, you're going to slow yourself down and end up wasting time on something that probably doesn't even work anyways, or jump to conclusions too soon and again cost yourself some more time. So get those data points in, get to 10 reels or 10 posts, whatever it is, and then look back and analyze why that one thing or however many videos worked. So then stage 2, now you know what works for you, reiterate on that. So let's say you made a reel that did really well, and out of all the reels that you did, this one was the most simple but like eye-catching one. So you realize like, okay, maybe psychologically there's like this thing that I did in this reel that I could bring onto another reel. Let's try that again. So now you have something that works and you're continuing to improve on it. And while this is happening, you're probably contacting filmmakers, you're probably networking with your peers, you're probably reaching out to composers that you admire, and you're starting to see some results. Stage 3, you have an idea of what works for you. So now you continue to improve, and maybe you even expand onto like YouTube, or you're perfectly content with just Instagram and you decide to keep it fun and sustainable for yourself. So that might mean taking breaks from social media. I like joked the other day about like throwing my phone in a dumpster fire. Like that's how I feel about social media sometimes. So whatever it takes for you to continue like over the long term, go ahead and do that. It's okay. You don't need to post 3 times a day. That's exhausting. Overall, I think every piece of content should be something that shows people what you're about rather than tells people. So it's just like the classic, storytelling, filmmaking advice, show, don't tell. So to give you a concrete example, if you're into orchestral fantasy music, show people you making that music instead of telling people about it. So I see a lot of composers do like stock video footage, and then they'll put their music on it. And I'm sure it's not that engaging for our filmmakers as well. But if you put your face and like your body to the music, like showing yourself actually making it, or at least performing it, engaging with your own work, I feel like that communicates so much more on camera than just like writing about it or telling people like, oh, if you need orchestral fantasy music, like hit me up. And it's just like, no one's gonna hit you up, like unless you're lucky, I guess. I never found that to work for me. If you can build this image of you as a composer in people's minds visually, that is way more powerful than just hiding behind a logo, hiding behind a poorly written bio, hiding behind photos of your studio, and scores that you've collected. Like put your face and your heart into it, because in the long run, that's what's really gonna help people connect with you. Anyways, if you found this video helpful but want to take that next step, I have a video dedicated to helping composers create content. So I have a video called 7 content ideas for composers on Instagram that you can check out here. So back to the gig hunting kit. I've decided that I will only be doing one-to-one with composers who have come out of the gig hunting kit course, just because I find myself repeating so many things over and over again, and I want the composers I work with to be able to get more value from me than just like, the basic how to find filmmaker and contact them. A lot of what people struggle with is actually the content creation side, and although I could just like create a social media module and plug it into my course, I really think that a lot of what holds you guys back is the mindset, and also just like the lack of emotional support for doing this thing, because like it's freaking terrifying, like being on camera and pressing publish. Like I know for many of you it's something that holds you back, and that you want to work on it, but it just feels terrifying. So if you're interested, there's 2 different ways to take the course. You can do the basic package, which is just the course. This is good for composers who are just starting out and don't know where to find filmmakers online, or how to contact them, or what to say, or who to look for. I'll cover all of that in the course. And then if you want to do one-to-one with me after, you're always welcome to. The second option, it's the complete package. It's the course plus 3 one-to-one sessions. We have 1 private one-to-one session every month for 3 months. And this is just meant to keep you accountable and also kind of push you to actually take action and have me support you along the way. So we could create content together. We could plan out your content for the month. We could go over, how to approach this specific filmmaker you're interested in working with. Or we could go filmmaker shopping together, and you tell me, Cheska, I want to do orchestral fantasy music for Disney. And I'm like, okay, I got you. And then we try and come up with a game plan for that. So there's a lot of personalization that happens in one-to-one that I just can't cover. Like, in a course, I would be creating content forever if I did that. So, if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, like you'll get basically what my students get. I don't believe in gatekeeping or withholding information just because someone can't pay. So this is really just for people who need the support, need the accountability, need someone to push them and create a safe environment to do this, because I know it is a lot in the beginning. So if you're interested and that sounds like something you want to do, check out the link in the description. Other than that, Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.